Those against any, the ayes have it. The words and proceedings of Wednesday, 6 October 2021 is hereby approved. Petitions. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the Federal University of Technology, Asaba, Delta State Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Technology, Asaba, Delta State Establishment Bill 2021, SB 721, first reading.
Please, distinguished colleagues, we can discuss in low tones, please. Federal University of Technology, Asaba, Delta State Establishment Bill 2021, HB 721, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf on the Financial Reporting Council Act 2011 Amendment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Financial Reporting Council Act 2011 Amendment Bill 2021, SB 824, first reading.
Financial Reporting Council Act 2011, Amendment Bill 2021, SB 824, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill saying the name of distinguished Senator Bima Muhammad Enagi on the Federal Unity Schools Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Unity Schools Establishment Bill 2021, SB 825, first reading.
Federal Unity Schools Establishment Bill 2021, SB 825, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Ibikunle Amosu on the suppression of piracy Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Suppression of Piracy Bill 2021, SB 827, first reading.
Suppression of Piracy Bill 2021, SB 827, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Sadiq Suleiman Umar on the Institute of Border Studies, Kosu Bosu, Baruten, Kwara State Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Institute of Border Studies, Kosu Bosu, Baruten, Kwara State Establishment Bill 2021, SB 828, first reading.
Institute of Border Studies, Kosu Bosu, Baruten, Kwara State Bill 2021, SB 828, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream on the screening of the following persons listed on the order paper for appointment as Chairman, Chief Executive, and Executive Directors of the Nigerian Downstream and Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. And they are as follows. Mr. Idere Gogo Ogan, Chairman. Mr. Farouk O. Ahmed, Chief Executive Officer. Abiodun A. Adeniji, Executive Director of Finance and Accounts. Obugo Okoha, Executive Director, Distribution Systems, Storage, and retail infrastructure. The single senators will recall that the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 22nd September 2021. Mr. President, you are ready to invite distinguished Senator Mohammed Sabo, Chairman of the Committee on Petroleum Downstream, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Mohammed Sabo Nokudu Jigawa West, Northwest, or Southwest rather. Are you Southwest or Northwest?
Jigawa Southwest. Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. I move that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Downstream Petroleum Sector on the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as Chairman, Chief Executive, and Executive Directors for the Board of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Idari Ogogo Ogan, Chairman. Farouk A. Ahmed, Chief Executive. Abiodun Adeneji, Executive Director, Finance and Accounts. Ogbogu Oka, Executive Director, Distribution Systems, Storage and Retail Infrastructure. I so move, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Michael Nachi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to support that the report as read by Senator Sabo be adopted, and I so support.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Downstream Petroleum Sector on the confirmation of Mr. President's nominee, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Chairman, you may lay the report, please. Please, Chairman, you may present the report now.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues.
Your mic is not on, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues. It's on now. If you recall, the Senate at its sitting on Wednesday, 22nd September 2021, considered the report of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces for confirmation of appointment of the nominees. Also, the Senate at its sitting on Tuesday, 5th October 2021, again considered the request of the, Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief for confirmation of appointment of Farouk Ahmed as a replacement of the previous nominee. The present distinguished colleagues, Section 29 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021 established the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority with the responsibility to carry out technical and commercial regulation of the midstream and downstream petroleum operations. Section 34, subsection 3 of the same act empowers the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federation to make such appointments subject to confirmation of the Senate. This appointment is for five years and may be reappointed for another second term of 5 years. The summary of the resume of the nominees are in sections 4.1 to 4.4 of the report submitted. Mr. President, the nominees appeared before the committee on Tuesday 5th and Wednesday 6th October 2021 for the screening exercise and were asked a wide range of questions regarding the petroleum industry, measures that will be taken to reposition the industry for the benefit of the Nigerian economy, and how the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority will manage effectively the good of the country and beyond, amongst others. The nominees responded to the questions asked in factual and convincing manner. They exhibited a high-level understanding of the entire petroleum value chain, its challenges and complexities and opportunities. Their knowledge and experience will be of great benefit to Nigeria, to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and the oil sector in general. Recommendations. The Committee on Downstream Petroleum, having screened the nominees and being satisfied with their experiences, performance, and academic qualifications, hereby recommends as follows: that the Senate do confirm the nomination of Idare Gogo Ogan as the chairman of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Second, that the Senate do confirm the nomination of Engineer Farouk A. Ahmed as the chief executive of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Third, that the Senate do confirm the nomination of Abiodun A. Adeneji as the Executive Director, Finance and Accounts of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Four, that the Senate do confirm the nomination of Mr. Ogbogu Okoha as the Executive Director, Distribution Systems, Storage and Retail Infrastructure of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Conclusion. The committee wishes to sincerely express its appreciation to the leadership of the Senate and indeed the entire Senate for the opportunity given to serve in this capacity. It's also submitted.
Any comments? Senator Basiru Ajibola Surajuddin.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic. I think I'm Dr. Surajuddin Ajibola Bashiru. I represent Osun Central Senatorial District. Yesterday, we confirmed the counterpart commission which is part of the implementation of the PIA. I think it's very important for us to put on record that the synergy between the executive and the legislative arm is paying off in seeing the necessary step at galvanizing our economy, particularly the oil and gas sector that is the mainstay of our economy is actually working very well. The president, even though knowing that there will be need to make certain administrative adjustments, went ahead to give assent to the bill and immediately take steps to ensure implementation. And I've also had cause to look at the quality of the nominees. They were done devoid of any bias, but to ensure that the best is given to the oil and gas sector. So I think this should be noted to Nigerians to know that the country is ready for full utilization and optimization of the benefit in the oil and gas sector. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Distinguished Senator Ali Magatakadawamako.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, I remain Ali Omako, representative of North Central District of Sokoto State. I rise to lend my support to the report as submitted by the committee chairman, and as the last speaker has just pointed out, the curriculum vitae of the nominees is so rich in the sector that they are being recommended for appointment, and based on the committee report, they have all, during the interaction with the committee, they have shown adequate knowledge of subject matter, the challenges, and the way forward, and their new assignment. So I do lend my support that this report be approved. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Leader, if there is no any other comment, we go into committee of the whole, please.
So, President, I concur with the comments that have been made by my colleagues, Senator Ajibola and Senator Wamako. This is the right way to go, and we are trying to make sure that the petroleum industry reforms, is accelerated so for the benefit of the entire nation. I therefore rise to move the motion that this distinguished chamber resolve into the committee of the whole to consider the nominations.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into committee of the whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Approval. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Idare Gogo Ogan as chairman of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Engineer Farouk A. Ahmed as Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Abiodun A. Adeniji as Executive Director, Finance and Accounts of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Ogbugo Ukoha as Executive Director, Distribution System, Storage and Retail Infrastructure of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion that the chair reports progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. As a second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate reverse to plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Downstream Petroleum Sector on the screening of Mr. President's nominees for appointment as the Chairman, Chief Executive and Executive Directors of the Board of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and approved the nominations of Idare Gogo Oga, Chairman, Engineer Farouk A. Ahmed, Chief Executive, Abiodun A. Adeniji, Executive Director, Finance and Accounts, Ogbugo Okoha, Executive Director, Distribution Systems, Storage and Retail Infrastructure. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Confirmation. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Idare Gogo Organ as Chairman of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Idare Gogo Organ is hereby confirmed as Chairman of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Engineer Farouk A. Ahmed as Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Engineer Farouk A. Ahmed is hereby confirmed as Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Abiodun A. Adeniji as Executive Director, Finance and Accounts of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Abiodun A. Adeniji is hereby confirmed as Executive Director, Finance and Accounts of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Ogbogu Okoha as Executive Director, Distribution System, Storage and Retail Infrastructure of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Ogbogu Okoha is hereby confirmed as Executive Director, Distribution System, Storage and Retail Infrastructure of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Congratulations to the nominees that have just been confirmed. And like our colleague, distinguished Senator Surajuddin Ajibola Basiru said, this is one very important step taken by confirmation of this, the nominees. They are well primed, should be ready to start work immediately. They are given their appointment letters, and time is of essence, and this is an authority that will lay a foundation. And therefore, they need to work hard, they need to be selfless. What they do is going to impact very significantly on the reform of the petroleum industry in Nigeria. And in fact, when they work hard, the foundation, they could get it right, and then of course any other development in the future will be on a very sound and strong and stable foundation. And to do otherwise is not an option. This is a trust that this nation has bestowed on them. So we wish them the best of luck in their tenure, and I will urge them to work with their committees here in the National Assembly, because they need our committees, oil and gas related committees, to be more effective. The executive and the legislature would have to work together for an outcome that will be in the best interest of everyone. So it's not enough for them to just go and now forget about the National Assembly, especially the committees that will be giving them a lot of legislative support and intervention. Congratulations to all of them. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, with your permission, I would like to move a motion that this Senate do suspend its proceedings to move in a procession to the House of Representatives to receive the address of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, on the 2022 Appropriation Bill. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in support that the Senate do suspend its proceedings to move to the House of Representatives in order to receive the address on the 2022 Appropriation Bill by Mr. President CNC, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. And we'll wait a bit until we get the confirmation. Are they ready?